What surprised you about the current series, England against India? So we've had 4 tests.
Yes.
Let's say two. Well, actually, we don't need to limit it, actually. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask the question? What has surprised you most about the series?
Well, it hasn't surprised me, but it has surprised me that the pitches.
I thought you might say pitches.
The pitches that we've played on.
Chief exec pitches?
Chief executive pitches, which is the price of everything and the value of nothing. And the grounds have been full, absolutely full. But an interesting point, I looked after, hosted the Legends Lounge at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
And so, these were good people in there. And the consensus was from these people, not bothered really how many overs there are in the game, in the day, not bothered. So that's another aspect that, that has dropped back to, we had 75 overs. But to get back to these pitches, they've been unbelievably bland and all the life has been squeezed out of them. And if you talk to Atherton, a test match captain of over 60 test matches, he would say the great games are 300, 280, 260. He said them's the great games, was a good balance between bat and ball. That, particularly this last one, was backbreaking. Bumrah, as we have enthused about in here for many, many times, one of the greatest there's ever been. Nothing there. Absolutely nothing there from Bumrah. If he ain't doing it, nobody else is.
You tipped a draw on Super Over after day 3.
I tipped a draw before it started.
Yeah, but it really didn't look likely to be a draw after day 3 because, India were really up against it. But you were still quite adamant it was going to be a draw. Oh. It's also, I'm sure you agree, Cam, but it's also, not only has it robbed the game of the Jasprit Bumrahs of the world, if you agree, that is, it's also robbed, it's the exciting stroke play as well. Ben Stokes hit 141, and at no point did we ever really see him. It wasn't like Cape Town 2016, was it? And Jamie Smith?
I think this is kind of like the fine line that England have been treading with requesting. They want pitches to maintain their integrity because they bat last and they bat big, and it plays out like at Headingley where you have this incredible final day. And so if that scale is tipped too far in one direction or the other, and at the moment it's been the other direction, it means the pitch doesn't break up. I think it's hard enough for the most part. I'm sure at some point over the course of this recording we'll talk about, it's been an amazing series. It's been so exciting. The cricket's been great on both sides, but then we also go...
Has it been an amazing series? There's been some amazing... I don't know if it has been an amazing series. It's been intense and compelling, and there's been drama, but it's also been attritional and obdurate and staid, and I can't think of too many... hasn't really spun.
I think that's fair, because I think I'm my brain's frazzled from...
You're just remembering the last day at Lord's.
Yeah, probably.
Or the last day at Headingley, or maybe not even the last day at Edgbaston, but certainly the last day or two, it's been set up. Yeah. Games have been set up well.
I think where I'm frazzled is a week ago we were having comparisons to the 05 Ashes series.
Yeah,
and I remember being like, hang about, there was buses on the street for that one.
This wasn't even as good as the 2023 Ashes, but that was good.
I don't think I haven't been surprised by the pitches, I'll put it that way. I don't know if that's different from being disappointed in them.
You've got very low expectations.
Because I know that this is what England want to do. I know they want to play test matches.
But they don't want to be. They don't want to be playing on these pitches.
I can categorically tell you they didn't ask for any of them pitches.
But you'll know this better than me. How far in advance do you have to ask for what you want?
You've no chance in it. I used to manage England. You've absolutely no chance of getting anywhere near a groundsman. No chance whatsoever. We've done it on here. When Mickey Stewart was England coach, and there's a game at Old Trafford, he used to ring me. Can you go into and see if we can... You've no price. None whatsoever.
So you don't think that these pitches, not arguing they've been taken too far to the extreme and that they've not been breaking up enough for England to be able to force results?
The chief executive pitches, he decides what pitch you're playing on.
But do you think I can't remember which ground it was, but recently over the course of this series there was an interview with, whether it was a CEO of Lancashire or Yorkshire or wherever it was, and they were like, God, we don't say that. We don't request that. Would you say that's not the case? Yeah. Because obviously, there's loads of people. The crowd's full.
I found it very telling, and you know Sanjay Patel very well. He spoke to the press before the Headingley test.
He did, I was there.
And I found it quite interesting that as part of his welcome to Headingley, he did mention that there hadn't been a draw at Headingley for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a strange thing to say. It's almost like he's setting it up. But of course it wasn't a draw, but boy did it go late. It went well late.
But he also said that this is a pitch that will be a good test of bat and ball, and it was. It was a good pitch.
It was one of the better pitches.
Better pitches.
It had a fast, unlike Lord's and Old Trafford, it had a very fast outfield. So whilst the pitch, the strip itself wasn't anything that incredible, I don't think, you got value for runs. And that's what you haven't got at Old Trafford and at Lord's, because the ball's plugged, or just, there's been a lot of threes at Old Trafford.
I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but we've seen from England a general kind of regression to normality when like the stakes have gone up. We've had the 2 or 3 years of Bazball being on 10 out of 10, let's go for it, let's push this as far as we can go. Now Stokes and the England team are desperate to win this series. They know that this kind of series and then the next Ashes kind of defines their legacy.
Yeah.
Whether if we'd had these same pitches a year ago or against New Zealand or South Africa or Sri Lanka or the West Indies at home, we'd have still been seeing those shots and we'd been going from Stokes stuck at Crawley because they'd have been like, it's fine, let's throw our hands, let's play our shots. Whereas now against India, stakes are a bit higher, they're sitting in a bit more.
I think it's the pitches a lot, really. Like, if you look at Lord's, how many strokes down the ground were there? How many shots down the ground? All the shots were basically, back there. And I think that you can't play that Bazball way if you literally cannot hit the ball down the ground. If everything is just sticking in the pitch and you're having to just basically place it. I think that the pitches have taken away a lot of the Bazball.
Yeah.
Also the ball. I mean, we didn't talk about the ball at Old Trafford. They didn't change it once, did they?
It's not changed once, but then again, you've got two new umpires and a new match referee.
And the umpires, by the way, were bang on it.
Yeah, they were. The surprising thing, when you say what surprised you, in the previous game, the surprise was that the umpires were trying to keep the play going and players were taking not a blind bit of notice of them. They were on the pitch, you can't do that. No, you can't have a drink.
Yep.
Care what you say. So the ICC have to be a lot stronger and the match referee has to be a lot stronger, which brings me back to yellow card.
What else has surprised you? Have you been a bit surprised by England's bowling attack and the fact that at times it's been rendered a little bit toothless?
I think theirs has too. I think they've both been the same
But
because of the pitches. Bumrah got absolutely nothing from that pitch. And so don't say, well, Siraj and nobody else got any. Same for the England bowlers. If Bumrah isn't doing it, there's not a prayer there for anybody else.
I think I've been surprised at how little the England seam attack has been rotated, given the kind of talk going into the series about 5 tests, it's going to be going one person in, one person out, he's rested, he's back in, Atkinson's going to be back here, Archer's back there, Wood's there, and we've had Carse, Wokes and Stokes play all 4, and then Tongue and Archer just swap in and out. I think somewhere else I've been surprised, and found really interesting actually, has been Stokes's kind of captaincy, not necessarily, more man management I think is a better way of putting it, because we're so used to him having this kind of overarching reign and everything's super positive and everything above the surface is so happy. Remember in Pakistan last year, he visibly scorned his team and he apologised for it afterwards. And then you see the way he deals with him and Archer have a great relationship, and then Archer will be like, "Can I have a cover point out?" And you'll see them verbally arguing on the pitch.
Yeah.
He's got Dawson in as a spinner rather than Bashir, and
there was some back and forth with those two as well. Stokes and Dawson. He wanted Dawson to bowl round the wicket, didn't he?
They had that kind of conversation either side of the tea break where Stokes is standing as a left-hander at the crease. You don't know what he's saying, but he's kind of been gesturing. He's like, why aren't you bowling it in there? Hit that. And just kind of, we haven't seen that side of Stokes where he's been dealing with...
Didn't you like the fact that Dawson gave it back, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's rock solid, isn't he? Dawson's
that was great.
Rock solid from county cricket.
I thought that was pretty good.
He knows cricket. Who's the previous captain that was like that? Do this, bowl there, bowl that?
Nasser.
Nasser was the one. Yeah.
And they did it.
Yeah, they did. But you can have a rapport and your disagreement with your captain as to, which end you are. I think he's been great in that they've not stayed, this is my end, I ball at this end. He's been quite happy to change ends, and I think that's really good. And because I've had to deal with players that, no, that's my end. Well, it's not happened at that end. Try the other. Just try.
What about Kale Rahul? Has he surprised you?
My surprise about Kale Rahul is any time his test average pops up on screen. I think I'm the same as everyone else.
I don't think he's ever scored more than 400 runs in a test series before this one.
He kind of
and never scored more than one test century in a series. I think.
I'll use David as an example here, where people who can play the sport go, this lad can play.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, you hear how the Aussies talk about him when they go going over the Ford Gavaskar Trophy, and they're like, he's the key. And I think he's pretty much got an identikit record to like Ollie Pope. And they're
I was thinking that.
But they're completely polar opposite in terms of like, Pope obviously has either the frenetic or the busy kind of mantra, depending whether he's in form or out of form. And Kale Rahul just is this kind of like elegant Rolls Royce of batter.
Zen man.
Who averages 33.
Don't you think that Pope can, if he's watched all this as he has, and see the calmness of the Indian batters. They play the shot and walk away.
Yeah.
Come back in. Play the shot, walk away. And that word that you use there, Ollie Pope, is an elegant player, but he's frenetic. It's a test match. It's a long time. Just calm down. Sachin Tendulkar, Brian Lara, all the greats. Calm down.
How did you find going through, not just the test match, but a first class game where, so I saw this stat, I thought it was fake at first. I went, no one should have shared that. That can't be right. And Ollie Pope in the first innings of test matches averages, I think it's like 45, 46. And in the second innings, it's 19. And we've heard Steve Smith talk about his record drops off because he doesn't sleep during a match.
Same as Pope.
And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, how do you manage?
It's the same as Pope.
Does he just not sleep?
He came in, doesn't sleep. When he scores runs, when he scores runs,
take for that, like whiskey.
when he scores runs, he can't sleep.
It's a nightmare.
So if he scores 100, because his record in first and second innings across the four is very good, and when he scored runs, he says he just cannot sleep. So it's actually it's the same reason as Steve Smith.
Sibley's is the lad. Sibley's, he's a regular scorer, big hundreds, and he'll have a couple of beers. So that's old school. And he's gone out overnight. I'll have a couple of beers.
Yeah.
And it just helps you to get away. But then again, you go back to Gary Sobers. Never went to bed before 3 a.m. ever.
Beefy.
Beefy didn't sleep.
But
Mark Butcher didn't like going to bed.
I like Butcher's take on being put in to bat towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
He was like, brilliant. For that tricky 4 or 5 overs, no winners there. He was like, no, that's fantastic. Either I'm going to get cheap runs because it's going to be attacking fields and the balls are going to be flying everywhere, or I'm going to get out and then I'll have the day off.
But again, that's a positive.
Perfect.
I was quite the opposite. I used to hate that 20 minutes at the end of a day's play in a 3-day match. That's what would happen. You'd declare and put the opposition in for half an hour. I used to hate that. I just think I'm on a hide into nothing. And then you start looking at the clock and you're looking at the board and you're looking at the clock and then you nick one. And you get really upset then.
Should have followed Butcher's mantra. If I get out, I go out. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Get out, go out.
Yeah.